Hey guys, so today I'm going to be looking at more malicious compliance stories. Yeah, let's just get right into the video. So I used to work at a popular convenience store, really popular with a cult-like following, 10 years ago. I've always been a bit of a clown, but very good at following rules while doing so. After working there a few years and seeing managers come and go, we got in a new woman who was just miserable and really wanted to flex her authority. Shortly after she started, she posted the uniform portion of the handbook in the breakdown and started complaining about people's attire, but clearly took the biggest issue with girls wearing yoga pants. Wow, is she just mad because she can't wear yoga pants and look good? So me being the petty rule follower, I am combed through the policy and noticed some things in the wording. The rules stated the yoga pants are allowed as long as the ankles flared, and there was no gender designation for these articles. Coup malicious compliance. I and a friend went to Walmart after work and bought me a couple pairs of flared yoga pants. Now mind you, I'm not a huge guy, but I am chubby and have a big beard. I began wearing them almost every day I worked, and especially if she was working. This infuriated her. I would regularly hear her protests and even saw her go to the AGM and GM. Their response was always, "I can't say anything, he's in dress code." This continued for a month tops before she was requested a transfer. But what made it even more fun was trolling weird pervert customers. They would stand at the deli area and gawk at the young ladies working, especially if they were bent over the hot food table. When I would notice this, I would sidle over beside them and give the boys two butts to look at before whipping my head around and making eye contact with them. The level of disgust on their faces filled my heart with joy. Wow. So what, the new boss just didn't like people wearing yoga pants? Like, dude, who hurt her, man? Like, did someone say she looked bad in yoga pants when she was wearing them? I think so. Holy man. Not my story, but my boyfriend's. When my boyfriend Jake was 19, he had a job at a smoothie shop. He worked there with 3 other people and his boss. We call him Michael. Jake's one stipulation before getting his job was that he not work with peanut butter since he is allergic. He'll break out in hives, and if ingested, his throat will swell. Not bad enough for an EpiPen, but bad enough to need Benadryl. At this job, they made protein balls and it was made with peanut butter. One day during a rush, Jake was at the sink when Michael threw a big bowl of leftover peanut butter in the sink and told Jake to wash it. Jake argued and told him he can't touch it and that he would have a breakout. Michael argued with him and told him to do it. So Jake, being stubborn, said, "Okay, fine." Roughly 5 minutes later, Jake's hands and arms were covered in hives. So once his arms had visible hives, he took a picture and sent it to the work group chat the owners were in, saying, "Can someone cover my shift? I'm a tad under the weather," with picture of his hands. He walked out before anyone responded. Someone covered his shift and the owners came in with a girl who covered the rest of his shift to yell at Michael. The next day, the girl told Jake about Michael getting chewed out by the owners. The owners called Jake and apologized for what happened. Long story short, that along with stealing money from the registers and being creepy with the high school girls, Michael was fired. Jake quit shortly after just because. Wow. He was that petty? He would actually do that? Risk his life to get someone in trouble? Honestly, I feel like that would be some people though, for sure. They'd be like, "Yeah, well, I told you I was gonna die if I do it. You know what? I'll do it." You know, some people, they just want to prove a point, even if it's dangerous. Jeez, Jake, that's dangerous. But hey, at least he won. Don't do this though. Honestly, it's not worth it. I'm a master's student who works as a TA for a class of 60 students. It is a lab course, so there is a ton of setup and cleanup. I usually end up working an extra hour or 2 past the end of lab, which I get paid for, but it does mean I go home really late. So I started tidying up once most of the students were gone. There is another TA and the professor to answer questions. I did this for a few weeks until I missed a student's question. The professor yelled at me and embarrassed me in front of the student for not doing my job. The other TA was on his phone and the professor was standing at the front not doing anything. He told me to absolutely not clean up until all the students were gone. We had one student that always stayed over an hour later than everyone else. The next week, this student was the only one in the lab for over an hour past the end of lab. The other TA was helping them. I stood there, not lifting a finger, until she left. I took my time tidying up. The other TA is useless and was barely helping. 2 hours passed, now 9 p.m, and the lab was barely cleaned up. The professor started panicking, saying he had nowhere to write lectures, do his own experiments, and then have an hour drive home. He had to help clean up. I did the same thing the next week, and the professor went into a full-on panic attack. He told me that I could clean up early next week. I told him that unfortunately the extra hours I put into cleaning for the last 2 weeks used up all my hours for the semester, so I wouldn't be in. I heard that the next week was an absolute shit show, and the other TA complained that they were almost there until midnight. Good for them, honestly. But seriously, the other TA complaining? Excuse me, that's your job. They're just mad that they can't be on their phones anymore, but they actually have to do work. That's crazy. And the professor is just stupid. Don't clean up until everyone has left. So if that one kid does not leave until like 3 hours later, they have to start cleaning up 3 hours later and stay back. What kind of logic is that, man? Like, dude, I thought professors were supposed to be smart. I guess not. My wife worked at a small IT recruitment company as a recruiter. The offices were quite small, situated on the first floor of an office block with no balcony or kitchen, or any place to really take a proper lunch break. So my wife just sat at her desk during her allocated tea and lunch breaks and browsed her phone. Her PC was locked from accessing any website such as Facebook and such. She found out that she was reported several times for being on her phone at her desk, something that was not allowed while working, but argued that she was on her lunch break and that she was not working and could be on her phone. She was then told that she cannot be on her phone at her desk as her colleagues can't know that she's on a break. She argued that there is nowhere to go for breaks except for downstairs and outside, a place where the smokers take regular breaks. But nope, she was not allowed on her phone at her desk. So from that day on, whenever the group of smokers took a break, she would go downstairs and stand with them, browse her phone and come up with them. This meant that she took breaks as frequently as the smokers did, and she was away from her desk far more than she was taking her previous breaks for. This is just making me a bit confused. So like smokers get more breaks than regular workers? Okay. Why though? Why do they get so many breaks? Oh, interesting. That doesn't sound fair, does it? Like this person can't even go on their phone when they're on a break, but people can just smoke on their break outside? Interesting. Not fair, but good on her for taking that opportunity. This happened a few years ago. I was a data and reporting analyst and did all the ad hoc reports for the company. My boss, we call her Carrie, was useless. She was one of these people that was always late, left early, and took days off at short notice. The only thing of value she did was all the regular reports, sales, revenue, etc. We suspected she got away with it because she was having an affair with her boss. We'll call him Stuart. Our CEO was a fairly decent bloke. He looked for ways to cut costs and would pay regular bonuses for the best cost-saving initiatives. Carrie was very keen to submit ideas and encouraged us all to automate our tasks so she could try and take the credit for the savings. As one of her Skype days, which coincidentally Stuart was sick as well, the CEO was desperate for the sales report my boss does. I said I'd give it a look and see if I could get it done. Normally she spent 2 to 3 days doing it each week, but the CEO wanted it that afternoon. A quick inspection of data showed it would quite easily be automated, so I knocked up the necessary script and got it over to the CEO, who was super impressed that not only had I got it done in a couple of hours, but also that it could be updated whenever he needed. He asked if I could also look at the revenue, churn, and a couple of other reports. Over that afternoon, I automated everything my boss did. Both Carrie and Stuart were back in the next day, but were immediately summoned to the CEO's office before being suspended and sent home. Turns out the CEO knew they were having an affair, and all the times they were sick or late or had to leave early was so they could sneak off and have sex. He had not done anything about it because of how important these reports were. Now they were automated, he was able to get them suspended and later fired for gross misconduct for all the time they'd taken off. I also got a nice bonus out of it. Wow, nice. Yes, amazing. Why pay a person to do it when a robot could do it for you, you know? Honestly, this is like today's generation now. You know, just robots writing your essays, robots writing your scripts, robots doing everything. Interesting. Well, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me in the comments down below what your thoughts are. And as always, thanks for watching. Hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.